host, the host of Plant Profits, and Plant Profits is brought to you by Produce Global. My guest today is Mr. Matt Hawkins. Matt is the co-founder and managing partner at Entourage Effect Capital. Matt has been a multiple guest here on our show, and I wanted to have Matt. I wanted you here. Hello, first of all.
Hi, Bern. How are you doing, bud?
I'm great, brother. I'm great. I wanted you here because there's some things moving around in our industry, and I wanted to get your take on some things. And, you know, Matt and I work in an industry that I just heard they had a $100 billion economic impact on the U.S. economy last year. 68% of Americans favor legalization of cannabis, and we can't get it done. And but we do have some movement, man, and with the Safe Banking Act again. And I wanted to get your insights and thoughts about how is this different from 6 months ago, 7 months ago, to now. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, it's a lot to unpack, but
Okay.
I think the reality is that, you know, as much as I want to be optimistic, it's still it does, a lot of this does still feel status quo. I mean, just when, like, and the reason I say that is initially I got a little excited because this seemed to be a bicameral movement within the House and the Senate to push this through, meaning the Safe Banking Act.
Yeah. Let's talk about that point, though, bicameral.
Sure.
Yeah. Tell us exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah. So,
because that's a big difference. Yeah.
It is. I mean, typically in the past, it's been passed by the House and then handed over to the Senate, and the Senate, then it just basically dies in the Senate.
Okay.
Now, this particular bill has come with sponsors in both the House and the Senate.
Okay.
And it's also it's bipartisan. Okay. So you would think that it's something, it had the feel of it being, and pardon the pun, but you felt like it was fully baked when it was coming into Congress.
Right.
Well, now we're hearing that Schumer's kind of up to his old tricks, trying to put bells and whistles on it, which it's going to be met with resistance. Yeah. And I just, this is a bill that's designed for safety, for helping the industry move forward, to allow more capital to enter. Right. It's not designed to be something that is, social equity driven in nature. We all want that. Right. I mean, the industry needs it, but why does it have to be in this bill? I just don't get it. I mean,
well, here's why. So here's my take on that, Matt, is that, and this is getting messy, to your point. If we could do it clean, we could get it done, because what happens is that this is a emotional, social equity environment that we are living in, and the plant is a player in that environment. And what happens this is my opinion, what happens is that when the politicians get involved with this, they all of a sudden do what you say is happening now with this bill, is that now I need, if I'm going to do something that is going to make the economics of the players in this game who are wealthy and who have not been mistreated by the regulations around this plant, I have to do something to support the folks that have been not treated with equality because of this plant. And I have to save face in why I'm doing this. I mean, that's my take on it.
Look, I agree with you, but I just don't know how to thread the needle here with getting something passed.
Right.
And so it's unfortunately, you have the far right, and then you've got the extremists on the far left that are preventing this from just being a commonsensical bill. But look, having said that, here's the bigger issue.
Okay.
Is all this delay that's going on, and that is, and it's really keeping the industry stagnated. we still are in a situation where we have over taxation at local, state, and federal level, and New York is a perfect example. Look what's happening in New York because of the nonsense that's going around and trying to cobble, all the issues in cannabis into one combined, package here.
Right.
The delay that's as a result of that has allowed for the illicit market to dominate
Totally dominate
the entire state.
Absolutely.
And so much so that they've duped the consumer to believe that the consumers now believe that this is legalized cannabis that they're buying.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that this is dangerous. There are shortcuts being taken in the processes and the manufacturing of these products because they don't have to worry about
they don't
seed to sale tracking.
They don't. There've been
and
tests.
Go ahead. I'm just so fed up with this, and the regulators do nothing about it. I mean, these damn $250 fines. Are you kidding me? I mean, you've got to have some type of regulatory enforcement and with the law.
Why are they so weak on this? Why is this stance so wobbly?
Because look, this goes back to, I mean, look, the reality is we know this. We all know there has been an issue with enforcement on things, that involve illegality and petty crime that go back to the pandemic. And it's just got to stop. Because it's ruining. New York is now so far behind the 8 ball that for us, we wouldn't invest in that state until it gets all cleaned up.
Yeah. Are people talking about pulling the investment?
Well, I don't know anybody that's in my world that's actually invested in New York yet.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger problem here, Vern, is that you have hardworking entrepreneurs that, by the way, most of them are social equity applicants that have scraped and clawed to get several $100,000 together to get their businesses stood up.
Right.
And they're up against the 800-pound gorilla, which is the illicit market. Is that fair to them?
No.
So all the things that the state are trying to promote, in fact, are hurting those that they're trying to promote.
Yes.
And it just makes me so angry that you can hear it in my voice. It drives me crazy.
I can. Tell the audience the opportunity for legal cannabis in New York State.
Well, I mean, the opportunity is there, but the problem is that the head start that's been given to the illicit market is a huge hurdle to have to overcome. I mean, the state has finally made some better decisions on the speed in which they give out the licenses.
Okay.
I know that the governor has tried to put some Band-Aids on going after these illicit shops, but I mean, you can walk up and down the streets of Manhattan and they're in all the bodegas, and it's they promote them as legalized weed. I mean, it's sickening.
I was downtown at MJ Unpacked.
Same,
yeah, and I mean, around the corner from the hotel. I mean, it was everywhere, and some of the the things that we were talking about, at the convention was really. There have been stories, now I don't know if they've been verified, but there's stories of labs testing some of these products in these that come out of these illicit operations that they have nothing that they say they have in them. Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could, I wish I had answers here. Yeah. But it's a tricky proposition, but now and it's because you're at a point now where things have occurred and things have happened, and the unwinding of those things are really, really hard.
Yeah.
So look, I'm pulling for the state because we need the state to be when it's set up properly. Yeah. It will be the second largest cannabis producing revenue standpoint in the nation.
That's right behind
actually,
California.
for that matter, in the world.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And it's just it's just unfortunate.
It is. It totally is. We're going to take a quick break. My guest today is Matt Hawkins, co-founder and managing partner at Entourage Effect Capital. And we're just having a really quick conversation, really. He bringing us up to speed on what's happening with the Safe Banking Act bill this run around. So we'll be right back. I'm Vern Davis. I'm your host of Plant Profits, and Plant Profits is brought to you by Produce Global. Thank you.
20+ years. A vision, a desire, an unrelentless focus on winning. Partnership, friendship, leadership, family. There's an intoxicating energy in these hallways. This is where champions are made. Grit and dedication is required. A vision, a desire, an unrelentless focus on winning. Build an empire, laugh daily, overcome weaknesses, leverage strengths. Victory is non-negotiable. It's about the process. Others' dreams are Produce Global expectations. This is the Produce way. Join us.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Vern Davis. I'm your host of Plant Profits, and Plant Profits is brought to you by Produce Global. My guest today is Mr. Matt Hawkins. He's co-founder and managing partner of Entourage Effect Capital. Matt, so we're taking another run at the Safe Banking Act. Where does 280E stand? Is there any activity around that whole idea, that part of the tax code?
Well, there's a couple of things in motion, but nothing's overnight.
Yeah.
One is, obviously with Biden's announcement, whatever it was, 6-9 months ago, that he's looking into, the descheduling or rescheduling of the drug. Obviously, if it goes to Schedule 3, then 280E goes away automatically. Who knows? Maybe has that in his back pocket for a executive order, closer to the election. But that's not a tomorrow thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is there are some movements, without getting into the gory details, but there's some larger companies in the space that are combining forces to take this to all the way to the Court of Appeals and hopefully to the Supreme Court to fight the constitutionality of this. But again, that doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
So I would say the quickest possibility would be if it's an executive order that reschedules this.
Yeah. Okay. So why did we choose to approach the banking over the tax to take the initial run? Tell me about that.
I don't think I think the banking. It's actually a really good question. I haven't really thought about it in any detail, but yeah. the banking issue is more of a from a politician's standpoint, a safety issue, and it's probably something that even non-cannabis supporters can at least get their arms around a little bit.
Yeah.
Rescheduling the drug is a whole nother ball of wax, and because then you got to get the non-supporters over the goal line in order to support that. We all know how ludicrous it is for cannabis to be a Schedule 1 drug, and I would think even the hardliners would think that. But
right.
But it's just the reality of the world we live in.
Right. No doubt. No, I totally understand. Look, Entourage Effect Capital, you guys were, you're big into this space and putting your money into these companies. I mean, you got investments you've had in cookies, Riv Capital, canned beverage, just a lot of GTI acreage, a lot of companies. Tell me, what's your stance now, today, on investing in brands or companies in the industry? What are you doing?
So we're trying to build scale in companies that are leaders in their sectors.
Okay.
and that's not limited to brands or you mentioned canned beverages. It's not limited to single state operators or multi-state operators.
Okay.
We also look at ancillary companies as well, but there's got to be something that kind of really moves the needle
Okay.
to be able to take that next step and to use the capital that we've raised. And
Right.
by the way, which is not unlimited, because there's still capital right now is really, really hard to come by in the industry, not just for the operators themselves, but for organized funds like ours too. I mean, it's there's until something happens legislatively in some form or fashion, capital is going to be very, very sparse.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the reality of the world we live in.
Right. When you say you're investing in companies and entities that are expandable, are you doing that actively now, or is that a strategy?
The investing in the companies right now?
Yeah.
Or yeah,
Are you
no, I mean,
actively or are you putting the money in current investments and building them
yes.
up? Yeah.
We've actually just reinvested and did a couple of follow-on rounds with two of our Fund 3 holdings.
Okay.
And that's because we believe in them. And a lot of our capital that we've raised for Fund 3 is obviously reserved for follow-on investments. I mean, we do have some dry powder left for some new investments, but our focus is on making sure our current portfolio, which is strong and robust, is successful.
Right. Got it. Okay. Thank you. So beyond the capital crunch, what are some of the other top of mind major issues that your investment companies are facing and the industry in a whole?
The issues that the companies are facing are everything we've talked about just in this short period. I mean, it's the lack of capital, and it's the lack of some type of legislative movement in a positive direction. Companies in the space that are subject to 280E are, that is an incredibly penal tax. And in addition to that, they need capital to grow their businesses. And when, traditional lines of credit or commercial loans aren't available to them, they got to get high yield debt from real estate lenders. That's a tricky proposition. It's hard to grow your business that way.
Totally. Absolutely. Look, man, I wish you well. And I really, Matt, I appreciate you coming and spending some time with us here on
Sure, I'm happy to do it anytime.
Absolutely, man. You've been totally great about that. And I want to thank you, of course, Matt Hawkins, Managing Director and co-founder of Entourage Effect Capital, for being here with us today. I want to thank all of you for listening and being a part of the podcast. And you can get Plant Profits podcast brought to you by Produce Global. You can get it anywhere you get your podcast, right? Any platform that you utilize, including Cannabis Radio. It's there. It's on the platform. It's everywhere. And you can take a look at Produce Global on social media. Produce Global, my company, is building companies, and we're changing people's lives, and what we do on a daily basis, and that's PROTIS global.com. I'm Vern Davis. I'm your host of Plant Profits. Until next time.